In today's video, we will try to understand various levels of culture across organization. There is a question which is often asked in the examination in BBA semester 3rd in this subject, business values, ethics and CSR, as to what is Sheen's perspective of culture. It is a bit complicated and I have tried to explain it by way of a diagram which I have got from a website. I have mentioned the website. It is called valuebasedmanagement.net. It has beautifully captured the three levels of culture, which was the Shane's perspective. At the top is artifacts. What is meant by artifacts? Artifacts, as you see, when you go to Delhi Heart, you will find people selling artifacts. So artifacts are things which are visible structures. In organization, there are artifacts. Suppose there is a company which has got an open culture, okay, and it is reflected in a common cafeteria for all employees, whether they are workers or they are managers or they are the top board personnel. Okay, now this is very hard to understand as to why if in other companies there are different cafeterias, there are different restrooms for managerial staff and for workmen, why is it so not so in the case of this company? But this is a visual manifestation. ऐसा है कि वहाँ समानता है. For example, if you see uh, Maruti Suzuki, the Indo-Japanese venture, in this company you will find that the dress or uniform of all employees from managing director to the driver is the same. This is artifact. Now these artifacts are built upon certain philosophies, certain goals. These are called espoused values. तो ये जो बाहर दिखता है, ये क्यों दिखता है? ये इसलिए दिखता है कि इसके पीछे कोई अंडरलाइन चीज है. वो चीज क्या है? उसको espoused values कहते हैं. स्ट्रेटजीज, गोल्स, और इन वैल्यूज के नीचे होती है बेसिक अजम्पशन. ठीक है, अब एजम्पशन क्या होती है, मैं आपको इसको नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में आपको सिखाता हूं. At the deepest level, there are basic assumptions. Sheen said assumptions are taken for granted. They reflect our beliefs about human nature and reality. ये हमारा बेसिक लेवल पे हमारी assumptions हैं कि सब आदमी बराबर हैं. All men are born equal. It leads to what value? It leads to the value that everyone has equal claim over resources. Everyone should be treated equally. So what is the basic assumption? That all men are born equal, men and women. So what is the value? They should all be treated fairly. This will be reflected in artifact, which will be that there is no discrimination between managers, owners, board members and workers. They all will have access to same cafeteria, they all will have access to same restrooms, they will all have same uniforms. Okay, for example, if there is a company which in which has the basic assumption, have you heard of a company called Mindtree? Mindtree is an IT company, and some of the top guys of Mindtree, they branched out and they have formed a company called Happy Minds. So what does it indicate, Happy Minds? Basic assumption is that organization should be a place where people should be happy, isn't it? If I come to teach you in your college, if you come to learn from your professor, it should create some kind of a happiness, isn't it? It should not create a dull atmosphere कि आप भी बोर हो रहे हैं, मैं भी बोर हो रहा हूँ. मेरे कॉलेज का एटमॉस्फेयर ऐसा होना चाहिए. It should enhance the happiness index of my life, isn't it? So this is the basic assumption, that happiness is at the base of every pursuit, every activity. So that means if organization has got this basic assumption, it will create policies, It will create policies which will all be geared to ensure that employees are happy. What will be the artifact? उसका artifact जो बाहर से दिखता है, that there will be open door policy. Any worker can walk into the cabin of a HR manager to ask a question as to why this is happening, why that is happening. Of course, it should not mean it should create some kind of a indiscipline. अराजकता तो नहीं हो सकती ना. But this is the artifact. Okay? So, this is Sheen's perspective of organization culture. Basic assumptions, underlying assumptions, above that espoused value, and above that artifacts. अब इसमें एक बड़ी मैं आपको रिवर्स बात भी बताता हूँ. Suppose there is a new company, it's a new company which does not have so much of resources, but somebody with lesser resources has studied this company और वो कहता है मैं ऐसी एक दूसरी कंपनी बनाऊंगा छोटे स्केल पे. So he will try to replicate the artifacts of the company which he admires in his company. वो open door policy रखेगा that anybody can walk into. So sometimes when he keeps open door policy, this can also lead to a change in his espoused values. ऐसा नहीं कि espoused values से his artifacts बनते हैं. उसको लगेगा ये ठीक कर रहा हूं मैं. जब मैंने open door policy रखी है, so people come to me, they discuss with me freely, they are more supportive. Whenever a decision has to be taken, they agree to the decision from the heart. It's not forced upon them. So his values become changed. His values start to talk about how people should be treated fairly and equally. And it makes a change in this underlying assumption that fairness is something which is liked by all, and fair treatment must be awarded to all fellow human beings. So sometimes why I am trying to explain to you this is, if you enter an organization, suppose let's take the example of somebody who has worked in a village society, and he is the son of a very rich farmer who owns vast tracts of land, and 100 to 200 workers are working in his 100 acres of land, and there are many workers who are working, and it's a tradition not to treat those laborers, the agricultural workers, with much respect. They are given wages which will just keep them going, right? And in the mind it is ingrained that आप मालिक के बेटे हैं और ये वर्कर्स हैं. ये वर्कर्स हैं, seasonal workers हैं. They come from their villages. We pay them their railway fare. They come, they work during the seasons. During off season, they go away. So they're not your equals. When such a person, suppose he goes and works in TVS down south. TVS is a highly respected group where industrial culture of TVS, industrial climate is highly respected. There he finds that the managing director of the company, he comes and puts an arm around the shoulder of a supervisor or a foreman. So what is the artifact he has seen? The managing director putting his arm around the workman. There he will understand that the values of these companies are different. The value of this company is fairness, equality, and the underlying assumption is all men are born equal. So I hope you have been able to understand the perspective which and a question comes on this every alternate year. So basic assumptions influence your value systems, and your value systems can lead to artifacts. Reverse is also true. That is why you must have heard people saying, when you start your career, work with a very big company, an organized company, and then as you grow up, you branch off, take a leadership position in a smaller company. Because when you work in a bigger company, you are exposed to the culture, you are exposed to the system. It helps you grow, because in a big company, collective minds, several hundreds of minds have come together, and they have worked over years to form what is called the organization culture. What are systems? What are the disciplined way of life in that organization? And you learn from it. It can even change your value system. It can lead to a very positive value system. It can change your underlying assumptions, and it can even help you become a very good human being. Not universally truth, but this is what I learned. I started from Nestle, Indian Oil Corporation, and gradually I took on leadership position from companies which were small, and we tried to replicate what was happening in the bigger companies into the smaller companies to make a happier world. I hope you have understand this. You have understood this. Thank you. In this video, we will discuss Indian cultural values. In the last video, I explained to you Sheens or Shines. It's a German name, so my pronunciation would be long. Edgar Sheen or Edgar Shine's perspective on culture. I explained to you how underlying assumptions and philosophies, they are reflected in espoused values, which are reflected in the artifact. Right? So let us try to understand the base. Indian cultural values. What are our cultural values? And these are across India, mind you. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, these cultural values are common. And I am basing my lecture upon the study done by Dr. R.P. Banerjee, the great professor of management and ethics, who has taught at various universities, including IIM Calcutta. For a very long time, he was stewarding a center on value and ethics in IIM Calcutta. Perhaps he has retired by now, but he continues to write on these subjects. So in 2008, he published a paper and he came out with certain findings about Indian cultural values. The most important finding is that social acceptability, समाज में आपको और आपकी पोजीशन को अपना लिया, समाज में आपका अस्तित्व, वर्चस्व, सोशल एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी, समाज को स्वीकार्य जो है, is more important than individual achievement. इसका क्या मतलब है? Suppose there is a person, I will give you an example. When my dad, he became an officer in Government of India, and he was working in Ministry of Agriculture, and when he went to my grandparents, his parents, for the first time, and he announced that he has become a gazetted officer in Ministry of Environment, which also controls the forest department. The first thing which my grandmother told my father was, "Oh, I wish you had done better, and I wish you had become a ranger." Ranger is a position which is much lower down in the hierarchy as compared to what my dad had achieved after passing the examination. He was an officer, and ranger is not an officer. So what I'm saying is, this is social acceptability. So I mean, my dad explained to his mom that this is what, and he is one step over. गांव में वो यही बोलते हैं, somebody has become IPS, वो कहते हैं यार दरोगा नहीं बना लेकिन. So this is social acceptability. I have tried to explain to you in a humorous manner, but social acceptability is more important than individual achievement. You have seen that movie which was released 6 years ago, Ramji London Wale, in which the key role was played by that brilliant actor Madhavan. And Madhavan is bent upon going to, was it United Kingdom, and he goes, he marries somebody there, and he gets to get the status of a British citizen because he marries an Indian origin girl, and then he's successful also. With great difficulty he succeeds, but then he suddenly realizes that his own success is meaningless if the people in his small town in Bihar are not able to enjoy that success. And he says, what is the use of a big car if I cannot take my mother and my childhood friends and my niece and my nephew in that car for a round. Social acceptability. His individual achievement was tremendous, but he's still craving for social acceptability. This is a deep cultural value. Why is it important to learn this? Because when we learn about our own cultural values, we also tend to evaluate ourselves. And we also feel that, why is it that in our team people are behaving in a manner that they are behaving? When I was working for Reliance, I was the head of UP East. I was the deputy general manager. And there were many, in my team of around 11, 12 managers, there were at least three who were from Bihar. And I was born and brought up in Delhi. I could never understand as to why would they all like to go for leave during Chhat. Chhat is a very important festival in Purvanchal, that is Eastern UP and Bihar. If their retail outlet is getting commissioned and if they miss the target for commissioning that retail outlet, they will not mind it so much, but they must be with their families during Chhat. So, if you are in charge of a retail outlet and your retail outlet is to be commissioned on the day of Chhat, I am telling you, many of them would prefer to forego that opportunity. They will argue with you that after all it is just a date, it can happen 3 days after. They will spend tremendous amount of money. If the trains are not available, they will hire a cab and go. They will take a bus ride and go to their villages, but they will go. Craving. Social acceptability. Second point which Professor Banerjee said is family takes precedence over professional growth. Family. I'll give you an example of a person I know. A person BSc first class, could not study further. He had financial problems. He had to fend for himself. He tried to become a probationary officer in a bank, could not clear the exam, became a clerk. And he joined State Bank of India in Delhi. Was a brilliant guy. He got married, he had kids, and he passed the internal examination which would enable him to come to the officer cadre. But when you become an officer, you need to go outside your place of posting. So he would have lost that Delhi circle. If you are not an officer, you continue to get postings in Delhi, not even NCR, within Delhi. So this gentleman, who was a bright student, he refused to take promotion just so that his family is not disturbed. His children were going to a good school. His wife was working in a central government department, and he wanted to stay with his family. So professional growth took a back seat. So for most Indians, family is the prime concern, and individual's duty lies with the family. I know of a very brilliant student who did his MBA with me, and he went and became a teacher in Kanpur. He is still teaching in a management institute in Kanpur. He was a guy who would have gone on to become a CEO, and it is not that he loved to be a teacher, but he said, my father has retired, I have got a younger brother and a younger sister, I am responsible for them, my mother remains ill, so I will remain in Kanpur. So eventually when he discharged all his duties, he went back to corporate, he made a name, and he has come back to teaching because he realized teaching was his real love, right? But family is the prime concern, and an individual duty lies with the family. Third thing Professor Banerjee said, people search for security and prestige within the confines of the near and dear ones. If I am getting a promotion, an increment of X%, but for that I have to leave my hometown, I will not go. If I am getting in my current company where I am well respected, I have a name for myself, I am getting an increment of 8% every year, I have an opportunity to go to another company, but there will be a new set of people there there will be a new set of relationships which I'll have to uh, enter into. Even if the yearly increment in that company is 15%, the guy will stay here. So there is a sense of inertia. You guys remember inertia? The first law of Newton, that every body continues to remain in the state of rest or motion unless an external and unequal forces are applied to it. So inertia is there. These are three things. More things he mentioned, Dr. Banerjee mentioned about Indian cultural values. We will discuss in the next video. But just a quick recap. Social acceptability is more important than individual achievement. Family takes precedence over professional growth, number two. And people search for security and prestige within the confines of near and dear ones. Interesting, isn't it? Let's move further on Indian cultural values. The fourth thing which Professor Banerjee said is that individual achievements individual achievements are viewed in the light of family and societal achievements. Individual achievements are viewed in the light of family and societal achievements. What does it mean? That if any individual achieves anything, people try to correlate it with his family and with the society that he belongs to. Mind you, if you are in United States and you build something from the scratch and you amass a lot of wealth, your net worth is uh, everybody's talking point. That would mean that you have arrived. Donald Trump, who's got millions and billions of dollars because of the real estate empire that he built, and he became the president of the United States. That is true. But people will view him only for the wealth he has created. Whereas in India, an individual achievement is constantly under scrutiny. So people will ask, okay, Mukesh Ambani has displaced Warren Buffett as the sixth richest person in the world. But what has he done? How much has he donated in PM Cares Fund? Are you understanding my point? Somebody will say, what is the use of his wealth if he does not contribute so much to charity? People will not view his achievement in terms of how much his companies have contributed to the GDP of India. 5% of all customs and excise duties are contributed by Reliance Industries Limited. It's one of the largest employers in India. Think of the amount of value Reliance has created, especially after the planned and methodical disinvestment of RIL share in various companies like Jio Platforms. What a great enterprise value he has created. But people will always compare him as to how much he has contributed to the society in comparison with, let us say, Tata's. So you will find Ratan Tata may not be India's richest, but he is the best industrialist or what have you. I'm not commenting if somebody is correct or not correct. What I'm saying is, for example, Mukesh Ambani was greatly admired when he bailed out his younger brother Anil Ambani from imminent arrest because Anil had defaulted on payments and the court had ordered that he should be arrested if he is not able to deposit X amount of money. And Mukesh Ambani wrote out a check and he bailed him out. So this came in for a lot of praise. So he may have achieved anything. He may have created an enterprise value of lakhs and lakhs of crores. But if he was not able to bail out his brother, he would have been looked in a very bad light by the people of India. Maybe Ekta Kapoor would have come out with a serial, Mukesh bhai tune kya kiya, bhai ko nahi bachaya, something like that. So individual achievements are viewed in the light of family and societal achievements. Second thing, another thing he said is individual and society are interlinked. One cannot create an individual identity which is independent from the group. What does it mean? If there is a person who is traditionally not from a community which is into business, and he has achieved something which is fantastic, people will talk about it. People will say, okay, he has achieved all this, even though traditionally people of his community, their forte is not business, their forte is not value creation. So anytime an individual is assessed, he is talked, or he is assessed in the light of the society he comes from. Let's take the case of film industry. Nepotism, star's son, star's daughter. So if you are a star son and you have achieved great fame, people like you will have to carry the burden of being a star son all your life, that you got the early advantage. And if you are not a star son and if you have achieved, so people will give you that much more respect. This is of course the most recent scenario in India. Till a few years back, if you were a star son, you were supposed to be good. You were supposed to perform as much as well as your dad did. Okay. Any individual, his achievements are linked to his community, his caste. People will talk about how a poor boy grew from nowhere and he created waves by having maximum number of patents in the telecom industry, Sam Pitroda. But people also ask, what did Sam Pitroda do for people of his own community? Did he raise the level of those people up? I don't know the answer, but people will ask you, ask those questions. If somebody is from a small village in Tamil Nadu and he goes on to become CEO of a multi-billion dollar enterprise, did he contribute to the construction of the school, of the village school? Did he do anything for his community? Did he give it back? So it is very difficult. It is very difficult to delink an individual and his community and his society. Another thing which Dr. Banerjee observed is that as a developing country, India is considered culturally very different from the Western world. We will talk about it in the next slide, in the next lecture. But the basic value system of what is considered great in India may not be considered great elsewhere. Till about 1 decade ago, or about 15 years ago, this concept of market capitalization being the biggest factor for a company being great was never there. What is market capitalization? The number of shares of a company and the market value. You multiply both, you come at market capitalization. Because in the Indian markets were never a true reflection, say 20 years ago, were never a true reflection of the potential of an enterprise. So our concept was sales, revenue, turnover, but not market capitalization. Even when Fortune 500 list is used to set out, when we were young, we used to go to the list of highest revenue earners, Exxon Mobil, Shell, all these companies, traditionally because they were commodity companies, oil companies, they had to have more revenue. But they are not the most valuable companies in the bourses today. Apple is, Microsoft is, Google is, Adobe is, Infosys is, TCS is. TCS was the most valued company. Even in India, the culture has changed. The biggest company in India, people say TCS or RIL, because their enterprise value, the total number of shares multiplied by the share value, that is enterprise value, is its highest in case of RIL, followed by Tata Communication, Tata Consultancy Services. But till 20 years ago, this was not the concept. Market capitalization was not considered to be a big indicator. So, even in Africa, even today, some of the biggest enterprises, they are not listed. The third biggest telecom enterprise in Africa, which is Globacom Limited, it is not a listed company. It is a private limited company. And these are cultural issues. Some people believe that you need to remain privately held, and it is not necessary that you should be listed. So these are cultural values. People don't want to make a show of your wealth. People don't want rich entrepreneurs in India. They shied away from publicity. They didn't want to be known as the richest people. They didn't want to know. They didn't want people to know that the value of their net worth. So companies were not listed. Also, they wanted to retain greater control. These are Indian cultural values. In the next slide, we will discuss this more, and then we will conclude for the day. Let's talk about another great professor, Professor S.K. Chakrabarty, again from IIM Calcutta. And he has done extensive research on important Indian values, which are reflected in the behavior of Indian managers. Because values, artifacts is the reflection on the Edgar Schein's model of culture. This perspective of culture, we discuss this. It's not necessary that all managers exhibit the characteristics which have been enumerated by Professor Chakrabarty, but by and large, average managers, they show these positive aspects. He spoke about negative aspects also, but today we will confine this lecture number 3 will be confined to the positive aspects. First thing he said, that Indian managers, they give respect to the individuals. So there is respect for individual, not necessarily for position. There is a video which went viral some time back, that when India's president Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, he visited one of the Gulf countries, the king of that country broke protocol and he went up to the aircraft to receive the president of India. Normally the number one man of royalty never comes to the airport to receive visitors. The visitors are received at the palace. Same is true for India. Indian president never ever goes to receive a foreign dignitary at the airport. But this king of that country, I'm forgetting, I think it was Abu Dhabi, he not only went to receive the Indian president at the airport, he went into the aircraft, he received him, held him by hand and brought him down. There was a lot of uproar in that country as to why he did it. So he said later, I did not do it for the President of India. I did it for Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, who was my teacher in Pune University. I came to pay my respect to my teacher. Of course, I respect the President of India. I hold him in high esteem. But for me, my behavior of going up to the aircraft to receive my teacher, and he says nobody should have any objection to it, because this is one value I inculcated in myself when I studied in India. Respect for individuals. Okay. So it's something like that. I don't want to, normally I fight shy of giving an example, political examples, but Yogi Adityanath is respected not only because he is the chief minister, but because he is the head of Gorakhnath Mutt Temple Foundation in Gorakhpur. So people who are 70 years of age, they come and touch his feet. Whether they should do it or not is another question, especially people who are in public service or who are holding public positions or who are in government servant. Should they openly come and touch the feet? But respect for individuals is there. So a position may be occupied by two persons at different times. You will find more respect for one person, respect for individuals, not only for not only for not only for not only for position, but respect for individuals. Second aspect, positive aspect, he said cooperation and trust. Because having lived in joint families and large families, it is inherent that people trust one another and there is cooperation. Even when industrialization began and people started living in colonies, because of the lack of resources to lead a decent civic life, people had to cooperate for that one bucket of water, drinking water. They had to have intrinsic trust. So they formed uh, among themselves a committee of night guards who would keep vigil on the neighborhood to protect the community, the township, or the small cluster of houses from thieves. Cooperation and trust. Third thing he says, work is equated to worship. It's true. When people go off to work, they will normally bow before their reigning deities or their gods. So when you start work, when a shopkeeper will start, he will start with a small prayer in his shop. Okay, when you break coconut because it is considered auspicious. When you start a factory and when you are laying a foundation stone, because work is considered as worship, because your livelihood depends on it. You don't treat your work as an assignment or as a manual process which will fetch you a few bucks, which will help you put your body and soul together, but it is considered as an act of worship. You even have a day, Vishwakarma Day, when workers don't work, they just worship their tools and instruments. They worship them on Vishwakarma Day. Another thing which he said is a positive aspect of Indian manager is self-discipline. Many of these points are debatable. I personally think that Indian managers are basically theory X guys. But anyway, he's talking about managers, not essentially workers. Self-discipline. And he says Indian managers, they exhibit purity of emotion and feelings. Indians are emotional by nature. We always tend to break the wall between a professional life and personal life. So there is emotion, and he says there is purity of emotion and feelings. This leads to better decision making because this gives rise to empathy. Empathy is very important if you want to have harmonious working relationship everywhere. Professor Chakravarti also spoke about creativity among Indian managers. This is true. And I'm not talking creativity purely in terms of jugaad, because jugaad is a much abused word. But whenever there is lack of resources, whenever you need to make do with whatever you have, you tend to be creative. And because Indian managers, they always face hardships, they always face scarcity in terms of resources, especially machines and money. They had to be more creative in their approach to achieve productivity or to achieve the desired results. Another thing which he says, the positive aspect of Indian managers, avoidance of jealousy. I don't know whether you will agree with it, but perhaps this, and we have to believe Professor Chakravarti because this is a field research, this is the primary data. Avoidance of jealousy is not as much as it is there in some other cultures. So people tend to believe that is also because of people tend to attribute a lot to the luck, that if a person has achieved certain thing, it's because of his luck. But there is generally avoidance of jealousy, detachment of fruit from action. Detachment of fruit from action means, because this is ingrained in Gita, that you have control You have control over your actions, but you have very little control over the results of those actions. कर्म किए जा और फल की ना इच्छा कर इंसान, जैसा कर्म करेगा वैसा फल देगा भगवान. So your actions are controllable, the fruits are not. Good philosophy. This it helps you avert any heartburn in case of a failure, and it also makes you stronger, and it also makes you go for to go for another attempt to achieve success with greater belief, with greater faith, with a sense of faith in yourself. Professor Chakravarti also said that generally Indian managers, he's talking about managers, mind you, they are able to control their greed, because greed is something which is considered bad. To be greedy is considered bad. He's not talking of ambition, he's talking of greed. So they are happy, they are not greedy, they are disciplined, they have respect for individuals, they believe and they exhibit cooperation and trust in their behavior. Work is equated with worship. Indian managers are highly creative. They avoid jealousy. Control over greed is their underlying belief, and they tend to detach fruits from action. These are the positive aspects of Indian values that get reflected in the Indian manager's behavior, as per S.K. Chakravarti. Tomorrow's lecture we will discuss about other aspects. Thank you.